Today we're talking about 3 tips to help you get the perfect sound mix for your videos every single time without using stuff like this or this. You can't make chicken salad out of chicken. Howdy, Jeff Bartsch here with Story Greenlight, where we're all about helping storytellers like you tell the stories that you care about the most. That is what we're all about here at the channel, so if you are new, consider hitting that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss a single video. Now, if we want to spread our message and tell our stories, we have to make sure that we don't have stuff getting in the way. Things like sound that's too loud or too soft and stuff like that. I mean, people ask me all the time that they say like, Jeff, how loud should the music be? How loud should the talking be? And I kid you not, I've had people tell me in the past, like, well, you know, you should have stuff that's not too loud and not too soft. Really? No, no. In the hopes of being more helpful than that, it's not about how loud or soft something is, it's about how balanced it is and what process you use to get that balance. Here are 3 tips to help you get that balance so your audio mix for your videos will be nailed perfectly every time. Tip number 1 for the perfect mix. First of all, you have to make sure that you're recording good sound. As my buddy Joe Gilder over at Home Studio Corner would say, you have to get it right at the source. You cannot get a good mix if you're recording garbage sound to begin with. As another longtime friend and mentor of mine, Ed Zimmerly, would say, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken. So the number 1 way to record better audio is to, number 1, do not use the on-camera mic for whatever camera you're using. Use an external mic. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be something like this here. Like, you know, you don't have to use a $1,000 studio microphone, which frankly, for most of the stuff, like for what I'm doing right now, this would not be a good mic. It will pick up every little thing. It's just not the right fit. It's gonna be much more helpful to do something like this. You know, and not even, it doesn't have to be the Rode VideoMic Pro like this. Seems like every vlogger on the face of the planet uses them, but man, it's a great little microphone. But the key is using an external microphone and getting it as close to your mouth as humanly possible. That's the thing right there. The other thing is you need to be careful about how much noise is in your environment to begin with. Otherwise, you end up doing what I did in my last video, and you end up walking down the sidewalk on a really busy street. Howdy, Jeff Bartsch here with Story Greenlight, where we're all about helping creators like you tell the stories you care about the most. That was not the most amazing choice on the field producer's part. Tip number 2 for the perfect audio mix. You need to keep your audio levels consistent. If your dialogue, if you're talking is at this level and then all of a sudden there's a section of your piece where it's all up here and then there's a next section where it's down here, that is going to feel weird. It is not going to be even, and your audience is going to have to go ding, 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 hitting the volume up and down on their phone or on the laptop or whatever. They should not have to do that. Things should be consistent. Now, obviously, if you have talking and at one point you're whispering or at one point you're yelling, then yes, there's going to be some variation. Same things with music. Sometimes music is supposed to be way up here, way out front. And a lot of the rest of the time, the music is going to be way down here. But the point is, if there are variations in how loud the different audio elements are, and they should be consistent, then it's our job as editors to smooth that stuff out. And the way we do that is with tip number 3. Tip number 3 for getting the perfect mix. Use a consistent process. Now, I'm going to talk in really broad, general terms right here, and then we're going to get more specific. Now, but for the moment, generally speaking, if you don't remember anything else from this entire video, remember this. 9 out of 10 times we're going to have people talking in our pieces. The dialogue is almost always going to be the most important thing. So set your dialogue at a consistent level throughout your entire video first, then mix everything else in comparison to the dialogue, usually by turning the other stuff down. Because frankly, you can have the most amazing piece of music in the world, but if it's covering up what you're trying to say, that ain't cool. So here's some more specific ways on how to do that. Now, first of all, it's going to depend on if your editing program has audio meters in it or not. If you don't have audio meters, I'm sorry. It's really going to be tough to get a really solid audio mix without audio meters. So if for some reason you're kind of locked into it or whatever, like you're cutting on your phone or something like that, then you do what I just described. You're going to have to go by feel. But number one, you set your monitoring level and you do not change it. Whatever volume you have on your computer or in your earbuds or whatever, set it at a reference level that you feel comfortable with, and then do not change it. Do not turn it up or turn it down, because that's your reference point. Then you set your dialogue, you take your dialogue pass, then you adjust everything according to that. Now, if you do have audio meters in your editing software, things are actually going to be a lot easier. So here's an example of the most recent video I did, and this is how the levels were recorded out in the field.
Jeff Bartsch here with Story Greenlight, where we're all about help.
You can see, number one, I'm walking down a very busy street, which was not the most brilliant decision on my part, but you can see the audio is really hot.
Helping creators like you tell the stories you care about the most.
It's like right around -4. It's really hot. So that's something that I had to end up turning down for the mix. And then there are other sections where I was walking in, a quieter side street like this.
If you were to go to the island of Tahiti and learn the language of the Tahitians,
I'd say the average mix level is like around -12. So that's stuff that would have to be boosted in the mix. Premiere only lets you bump things up a couple clicks just natively, but what you can do, you can actually do things like go and say audio gain, and I want to bump this up by 8 dB or whatever that is. That's a really easy way to get things set, like roughed into place before you start fine tuning. Then what ends up happening in your final mix, end up with your dialogue that if you solo it out, this is right around where it bounces, like here.
Emotions are hardwired into our brain, and that we
and in a loud section, look where I'm on the street like this. Hello, let's get some sound.
Here's the thing, if we want to tell stories that make an impact.
See, that's all bouncing around at -8. That's my reference point for my dialogue. Usually I set my dialogue at -8, and I've found that most of the time, if I solo out the music tracks, most of the time I've found that my music tends to bounce right around average level of -20. Those are the basic baselines that I go by for mixing here in Premiere. Now obviously that can change, because there will be times when at the end, for instance, I wanted the music to be out front, like so.
So that we can craft a story that spreads our message.
And you'll find that the mixing levels, like the average mix levels of this music right now, it's a lot hotter than -20. I mean, that stuff's bumping right around -10 at that point. But that was on purpose. I really wanted that music to be pumping and adding that emotion, and you'll find at the end, if you haven't seen the piece yet, you'll find that the music builds and builds as I get more worked up with what I'm saying. In fact, I'm almost about to cry at the end of the piece. Like I'm this close to crying when I walk off camera, and the music goes up with a flourish like this.
Matters. The world needs to hear what you have to say.
Now actually listening to this music right now in my earbuds, it's too hot. It is stepping up on the dialogue, but I wanted to do that because I knew that most people are going to be watching this piece on their laptop or on their phone, and I wanted that music to be very, very present because I wanted the emotion from that. So that's an instance of where the music would be significantly hotter than that -20 benchmark. The point of all this is to take away anything that would distract from what you're saying, what your message is, what your story is. So get that sound mix into the pocket and tell your stories, because you matter, your message matters, and the world needs to hear what you have to say.